So what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Decode. And that's what I do here. I decode. And like some people say, I might decode anything one day. But I don't try to keep it just to one subject. I may decode the markets. I may decode people. I may decode souls, phenomena, events, who knows. But I'm interested in a little bit of everything. And trying to learn and put everything, in my arsenal. Right, my weaponry and sharpening my swords. So I'm starting a new segment on my channel. It's called Short and Sweet. Let's keep it short and sweet, people. I know people got things to do, so it's an easy way to figure out and learn with me. Since most of my viewers don't make it to the end of my lectures, I decided to give this a try. I know people got things to do. Maybe I'll start a TikTok next year, who knows? But let's begin here. So today we'll be talking about Naseem Hamed, right? He was a boisterous boxer from the 90s. While watching his fights, his clips, I decided to look up his life path number and whatnot, look up his history. So I watched, if I imagined myself watching his fights when I was younger with my dad or something, because this wasn't the style of fighter we were used to, or the style of fighter that we actually rooted for. We were kind of like the guy, the people that rooted for the underdog sometimes, but we didn't like flashiness. Okay, but he was known, Prince Naseem, also he was known to be that type of fighter, always talking trash, or mostly, but being flashy. Okay, so it was from his entrances to the fights to actually when he was fighting, he would dance with his feet, he would do flips and things like that. But he was a very interesting fighter, and I can't believe he went under my radar for such a long time. But in retrospect, he was proved to be a gem, seeing his 31 KO history. Okay, his 31 knockout history. He was the hardest to contend with, comparable to Floyd Mayweather. But Naseem was more of a dancer like Muhammad Ali, and had a fast uppercut and hard-hitting jabs like Mike Tyson. He used to use antics to dismay opponents and have them seeing birds and stars. So don't quote me oh, he's like Mike Tyson. Oh, he's never gonna hit like Mike. No, I'm just saying for that, being a featherweight or a welterweight, he was pretty quick, but he had power. Okay, he had power. So if you can see up here in the gematria code, right? If you go look up in the gematria calculator, gematrinator.com, go ahead, do it for yourself. Naseem Hamed, right? Hamed is an 88. Okay, so you have that 8 in his name here. Okay, so it's an important number to this decode, because he's an 8 life path, okay, through his date. Okay, an 8 life path. He was a force to be reckoned with, who definitely saw the numbers potency displayed in the power through Nas's hands. So the 8 vibration brought him assured wealth. And why do I bring this up? Power, wealth, right? Because that's what the 8 is money, power, karma. Okay, so that's very interesting that both his name and his life path number is equal to an 8. Okay, so here is his birthday. So you see he has that. He was born on the 12th, so you can look at the 1 plus 2. That's a 3. Always talking, right? He will always try to get in other fighters' head, by talking trash.
I would do so, and if that meant dancing, and if that meant shaking and baking, if that meant doing all sorts of things to disturb my opponent mentally, then I would do it. And I did it, and I enjoyed doing it. I didn't do it to ridicule an opponent. My intention, you see, I honestly believed that you're judged on your intention. Actions are judged on intention. My intention in my own heart was never to bring them down, to make them look so stupid in a way that you wanted to ridicule them. No, this was a form of winning.
He was born in Sheffield, England, a former British professional boxer who made a significant impact in the sport in the 90s. known for his flamboyant, that's another key word there, another great adjective to describe him, flamboyant personality and unorthodox fighting style. He captured the attention of boxing fans worldwide. This is from the wiki, whatever, believe it or not. So his 1992 had an impressive amateur record, quickly rose through the ranks with his explosive power. Look how the wiki says it, explosive power and showboating style. See this? So his fights were often filled with pre-fight theatrics, right? Extravagant ring entrances. And I'll try to show a little snippets of like those things in the editing portion, hopefully. So he had great knockout finishes, okay? So right here, he also gained a reputation for his cockiness. So like I said, we went for the underdog sometimes. He wouldn't be in our list, okay? And I know Mayweather, if you know, at least from my pops, that's how most boxing matches I would watch with him. And him being like this, like for example, like a Mayweather too, he never liked him. So I always rooted, you know, with the pops, whatever, the old man. But he would have a brash demeanor. He would even often predict the round in which he would knock out his opponents. That's pretty crazy. So in '95, Hamed became the WBO featherweight champion, marked the start of a dominant title reign. Okay, so you could look up all his little stats, but the reason I wanted to bring this up because this was his last fight here. Okay, so this was with Marco Antonio Barrera, and this is his last fight, literally. And he lost this fight. He was on a great record. I think he was like 36-0, many of them being knockouts. And why did I want to bring this up? And let's go back to the 8, right? To the 8, right? 8 life path, 88 in his name, is because I feel this was a moment of losing this fight was a moment of karma, right? And why do I say karma? You'll see a little bit. I'll play a little bit of the interview in a second here. And it's all gonna connect, so stay with me. So the 8 bringing that karma, talking trash to people, maybe that energy came back to him, but it was also the karma of what of his relationship here with his trainer, Brendan Ingle, very important trainer in his upbringing. Not really his, I guess, spontaneity or his dancing antics and all that stuff, but like kept them in the know and the knowledge of boxing. Okay, so what happened between these two, right? Which with most, and it happens a lot with, you know, mentors and mentees or teachers or whatever, and students, right? The student feels like he doesn't need the teacher anymore, right? So he left actually Brendan Ingle due to like I think he was giving him like maybe like a 10% of his income or something like that, some very low number. It wasn't a crazy, you know, it wasn't like 20, 25, 30%. I don't think so. I could check it again, but the whole point was because of what? Money. Right here, 8. The number of money. This is why he left them, right? So as soon as he left them, what happened? Like, he thought he could do it on his own. His fight prior to Marco Antonio, he was doing pretty good, but he almost lost that fight. And this is the second fight after leaving Brendan Ingle, and he ends up losing this fight. It was a pretty big fight for him, and he ends up losing. So I'll play the interview in the editing, and this is Brendan Ingle explaining more or less, you know, what he feels about his students sometimes and what they do to him.
So I have a saying in here: good trainers are used. People use them, fighters use them to get all the knowledge. Then they accuse. When things go wrong, they start accusing you. It's your fault. So they use you, accuse you, and then they abuse you. So then they leave you, and then you say the biggest bastard on 2 legs. He never done this, that. I understand all that.
You're referring to maybe Naseem?
No! Father, we're a load of fighters in here. As I said to you, don't forget what I said. My wife says thinks I can walk on water. My daughter says I think I know it all. I says I don't know it all. I know a lot. But as I said to them, boxing's the only game you can legally get killed. You can't have idiots looking after you. You can't have fellas on as I call them, fame touchers. They want to be close to you and be around what you're doing. It's human nature. As I said to you about boxing, I say to them in here, boxing's the only game you can legally get killed. Boxing at its worst is a dirty, rotten, horrible, prostitute and vindictive game. And they say to me, well, what are you doing in it? Well, I said, it's only like life. Life, if you think life's going to be fair with you, forget about it. Life's not fair. You know, Easter's gone a few months ago. Jesus Christ came into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. They broke all the palms down, put under his feet. On Friday, they crucified him.
So you can see mostly here in this fight how he got exposed, everyone. He got exposed for his flamboyance, you know, these skills that brought him, you know, to the top now has brought him to the bottom here. He leaves himself open. The dancing, you know, didn't work. Actually, Barrera, a very professional, polished fighter here, you know, saw his weaknesses, and he countered many of these shots here, you know. But this is the whole point of the 8, maybe part of him leaving his coach, maybe part of his karma as the 8, you know, focusing on the 8's money and power and thinking that it was absolute. So lastly, you have here Hamed was from Yemen, right? So he wanted to always become a legend, right? And it's interesting because he actually made it to the Yemeni stamp here, right? He gained a lot of money. He gained a lot of power, like I said. But that karma that he paid once he left his teacher, that I think that's what, and because of what? Because of money, right? So, and you know, so we can compare this. So by many standards, you can say he's not a legend. But I believed he was a legend, a considered one, based off his antics, based off his popularity and the style that, you know, you don't see this every day in boxing. Of course, trash talking, you will see it, but you know, some moments you'll see in an event, but this guy took it to the next level. But of course, Mayweather had many more fights, double the fights as him, total 50 fights, wins, you know, and all, you know, a lot of KOs, 27 KOs out of 50, of course. But Naseem had at least 30, he had 37 total fights, 36 wins, and 31 by KO, okay? So that's pretty impressive, you know what I mean? He had that one loss. So are you not going to say he's not a legend because he had that loss? You know, you can't. It's unfair to compare him to Mayweather. You know what I mean? Mayweather stayed within the game, and this actually Prince Naseem decided to retire based off some injury I think he also had in his wrists. So I hope you learned something from here about the 8, maybe your 8 life path, born on the 8th day or whatnot. But I thought that was very interesting. They hunt for power, they hunt for money, you know what I mean? But that's sometimes that could be that detriment, and they're supposed to always give back. Okay, so he didn't give back to that coach, you know what I mean? In his own way, he did. He said he didn't. They fought over money and whatnot. But just want to leave you with that. Hope you appreciate this. Keeping it short and sweet, y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate all of you. 1.